All right, so you want to play in your first tournament, but you don't know where to start? Let me show you how to do it. All right, so I know it is very intimidating and nerve-wracking to actually decide to do a tournament. I know so many of my friends have never actually made the plunge to tournaments. They're kind of just like, yeah, I just play disc golf for fun, and it is what it is. So making that intentional desire to actually play against people and honestly be very vulnerable in it takes a lot of guts, because you are playing with 3 or 4 people that are most likely a lot better than you. And no matter how much you played in the past, whenever it comes to a actual competitive round, everything just gets totally different. Okay, so you may be asking, so what do I sign up for? Where do I sign up for it? All these questions. So first off, I'm just going to assume that this example person is a dude under 40 years old and you're looking to play a rated round. And so a rated round means that the PDGA will average up the entire scores of the round, compare it with other players in the field, and give you a number, and that number is associated with the level of disc golf that you're playing. So you probably know 1050 is like Paul's current rating. Proportionally, you're going to be getting that many more strokes as an 850 rated player than a 1050 rated player. And there's no publicly available exact science to it, but after you start playing a couple of rounds, you'll get to know what your true rating is and how you compare against the field. All right, so assuming that you went to this tournament with the idea of wanting to get a rated round, you're going to be wanting to play the division called intermediate. So this is typically between about 800 to 930 rated, but since you don't have a rating, but basically you're going to be doing this because there's no rating requirement. And so once you get up to a higher rating, you'll actually not even be allowed to play this intermediate division. You'll have to move up to the division called advanced, which is between 935 to 1000 rated. So this is basically those people that are playing for a couple of years, throw 400, maybe have about 70% circle 1X, and can hit circle 2 putts somewhat consistently. But the funny thing is, if you actually do think you're that good from day one, you can play the advanced division, but I highly recommend against it, because just because you think you're that good, you probably will realize, oh yeah, I might not actually compare that well to these peers that just totally shred, or may simply just be locals to the course and just totally know the exact lines to hit, which you may not know. But the important thing to note here is that no matter what division you're currently in, you will not receive any cash prize because you are in the amateur divisions, which is certainly a bummer. When you're feeling really good about your game, you get 3rd, 2nd, 1st place even, but that's just kind of the way it goes. You'll get a prize that's as good as cash basically, because you get often a $50 gift card to a disc golf store, which for many of us is just equivalent to cash. And if you're having fun, it doesn't really matter if you win or not, but it kind of does. And I think one of the most important things to note here is that just because you think you're good doesn't mean that you're actually good. I have been to so many courses and gotten a little bit of an ego, and then the next week or next month I play in a tournament and I realized that, oh yeah, I'm actually not that good. And the people I was comparing myself against were people that were very much just casuals and don't actually take the sport seriously. Once you get to that actual competitive field, you'll really start to grasp how good people are and how much you have to learn. All right, so now let's talk about day of, what you should do and what you should not do. So you probably don't even know this yet. Every single tournament for the rest of your life, you will most likely want to bring what's called a mini, which is essentially just a disc, but shrunk. It can be basically any plastic, it could be any material, it doesn't have to be plastic, and you just put that in front of your lie. So instead of putting your discs that you maybe just flip or don't even move, you can place it in front of whatever lie you're in. Doesn't matter if it's the shot after your drive, doesn't matter if it's a circle 1 putt, doesn't matter if it's circle 2 putt. You can put this mini in front of it as a way to retrieve your disc and also mark where your lie was. In addition to that, it is a great idea to bring a towel. Doesn't matter what material it is. There are some really good microfiber towels that I've used in the past, but for the most part, any towel will do. You will definitely want to do this because no matter what course you're at, no matter what weather, there is bound to be muddy holes or water holes where you definitely have the potential to get your disc totally unusable if you don't have something to wipe it off with. And then lastly, I highly recommend a burner disc. This is basically just whatever kind of DX plastic you have or whatever disc that you don't really care about but has a good enough flight that you can kind of rely on it. And I use these often for water holes where it is certainly 50-50 if I can make the water hole or not. And so if I don't make it, I'm not ultimately that worried. I don't have to overstress when I do my normal throwing routine. And I really value this because it is so easy to tense up during a tournament and just totally grip lock your disc straight into the water. In UDisc, there's actually an events page which will allow you to view all the tournaments in your area. But for right now, every single tournament page just redirects to Disc Golf Scene. So basically everything that you want to do centers around this particular 1990s webpage that looks like crap, seems like a scam, but this is just the way everyone does it. Obviously, you need a PDGA membership. So once you have that, go to your tournaments, and this will list every tournament that you're following as well as every tournament that exists. So there's a lot of tournaments. There's a lot of good things going on. But for me personally, I'm just going to go within 100 miles of my general vicinity. And for the most part, the only thing I'm looking for is C tier and above. And you're guaranteed at least some form of a prize for winning. So usually for these B tiers and C tiers, there'll be some cash related to the prize. So you don't actually win anything, but you have the potential to earn store credit in any disc golf store, which obviously it seems kind of lame. But if you are an avid disc golfer like me, you're going to be spending a lot anyways. So just because it seems like it's not actual money, for you it probably will be. And then these are examples of non-sanctioned events. So you can sign up for it, have some fun, and you don't have to worry about your rating tanking. So if you go to one of these pages, you can see it has basically all the information you need, has the day of schedule, has the fees attached to every division on this tournament, the refund policy, and for bigger tournaments, it'll have the full schedule, all the courses that you might be playing for different divisions, and any specific rulings about that tournament. So here you can register. I'm not going to do that because I'm already registered. But if you go to registered players, you can see that I am showing as a registered player for MA2. And you can view every other player that's currently enrolled in this event and see all the players in your current division. So it's pretty intuitive, pretty straightforward. There's not that much to it other than just register, pay the fees, and then show up day of. All right, so now you're on hole 1, finally getting to your first rated round. So I would say the typical inclination is to just want to totally rip it, totally shred. I would say there's a high probability that you are not thinking properly, you're not thinking clearly. So this general thought of grip it and rip it will probably not do you much success. So even though you have the desire to throw it really far, it is probably best to just keep it loose, do your normal throwing routine. You can grip it hard, but don't overthink your shot. Don't worry too much about distance, but just try to do what for you is a normal throwing routine. And often if I am a little bit nervous on the tee pad, I will just do some practice throws and visualize what my line's going to be. And that will really help me to mentally get an idea for what I'm going to do and not over stress about what I need to do. All right, so you threw a great shot, you're feeling good, but now you have to wait till everyone else throws. So this is where some more general conflicts come into play. So you might see people that are throwing insane shots, might be throwing grenades, might be throwing rollers, might have an insane forehand that you've never seen before because your friends never play with forehand. Or you might see the most insane backhand that looks like it didn't have any effort into it, but it still went 500 feet. This is another area where you do not want to give in to your desire to change your game. You know your game better than anyone else. And so just because somebody else is doing something amazing, it does not mean that you have to change what you're doing. And I would say it is highly probable that if you do change what you're trying to do, then you will most likely play a worse game, especially for your first tournament. But a good thing here is to note all of the different shot shapes that you're seeing out of these people. Look at how people are letting the disc release, what kind of X step they're doing, and how they follow through with the disc, and you will learn a lot quickly. All right, so you threw your first shot. It was looking great. You thought it was parked, but not quite. You're about 35 feet away from the basket. So here you're going to have to check with your card mates to make sure that you are outside of circle 1, which is going to be 33 feet. And I bet you don't have a rangefinder, so you basically just have to ask the card. And for the most part, everyone generally knows what circle 1 is. And if they give you the green light, then this means that you can do a jump putt, step putt, regular putt. And it basically means that it's just a throw that you can follow through with and step over your disc after you release it. And this is going to be great for those times where you need to get distance with your putter and can't quite generate that speed just from a normal putting stance. And if you are doing a jump putt or step putt or basic, then I highly recommend that you do your normal putting routine. Whatever that looks like, whatever you're doing when you're playing a casual round, just do that. Don't overthink it. Don't worry too much about taking too long. People will tell you if you're taking too long. Probably not going to be a big deal because I bet you're going way faster in reality than you think you are. Just focus on the chains, maybe get a little bit of an idea of the wind and just let it fly. And it's very likely that you may be doing your normal putting routine, you may be feeling super confident, and it still shoots over the basket or totally airballs or just immediately drops and you didn't even get it to the pole. All these are very common things. Don't feel bad about it. This is just the way it goes with rated rounds. Just because you've seen so many people on YouTube totally shred, never miss any putts without hitting a little bit of metal, that's not where you're at. That's not where you're going to be at for a while. That's okay. And the most important thing is to not get down on yourself. Continually focus on the next shot. I think this is something that I see so much in my division, intermediate. A lot of people will get tilted. They'll have a bad shot and that'll mess them up for the whole rest of the round. You really want to stay mentally strong and focus just on your next shot no matter what has happened in the past. All right, so you've done all those things. Now for just some general guidelines here. So it may be very tempting when you're doing that step through putt, jump putt, or regular putt to almost exaggerate it too much. So you're really going to want to focus on not leaving that plant foot before you let the disc out of your hand. I have seen this very often in my division. I don't call it really because it creates weird vibes on the card, but don't be that guy that does foot faults while they're trying to jump putt. It is just just weird and annoying, and it definitely gives you a leg up if you're doing an illegal jump putt, so don't be that guy. And then to go along with this, if you are in the middle of a field, nobody else can see your lie, it can be honestly tempting to throw just a little bit left or a little bit right of where your disc is. Don't do that. No one's gonna see it, but you mentally will know that you just tried to cheat, and that's just lame. That's not cool. That's not what you're really trying to do here. You're trying to play a competitive round just because it may get you a little bit of an edge. You will know that you cheated. You'll know that you're doing something wrong. And once you get those higher up divisions, you will definitely see that no good player ever does that. All right, so another common temptation that I have seen in my own game is that I'll see people that are totally shredding, but it's just super windy, and I'm just like, how are they doing that? And you may feel the tendency to throw your more understable or more flippy discs, especially when there's wind, because you think, oh, this is going to carry so far. It's going to look amazing. People are going to be like, dang, that dude can really shred. Newsflash, you're not going to shred. You're going to probably just cut roll and go about 150 feet, which is all right. Doesn't really matter in your first tournament. But the wind, if you are not throwing on the perfect line, will definitely do things to your disc that you are not ready for. There are so often times where I'm playing a tournament and I see people throwing not overstable in the wind. And while that can generate a decent amount of distance, it is very uncontrollable, and there's a reason that the pros throw such overstability. So if you are a new player and you're throwing in windy conditions, you really want to focus on throwing, if not overstable, at least somewhat stable disc, so that you don't have to worry about it going way right, way left, or just immediately hitting the ground. And then lastly, I can't state it enough, do not change your routine. You certainly have the ability to alter what your putting routine is, your driving routine, your upshot routine after the event, but during the event, it is almost always better to focus on what you normally do, or just not focus on it at all. And keeping that normal routine will keep you feeling confident even when things turn south, because you know, oh yeah, this is what I normally do, because you'll know this is what I can do. I know that I can get it to this certain spot on the fairway, or I can hit the certain putt. And then if that is not working out great for the entire duration of the tournament, then you can revisit it and you can figure out why that disc is going way left, or just not hyzering out at all, or not flipping up, or you're having a forehand that is just going straight to the sky and getting no distance. These are all things that can occur when you're feeling those nerves. But it's important to focus on doing your normal routine, and then if that's not working after the event, revisit it and figure out what you can do better, so that the next time you're on the tee pad of hole 1, you don't have these concerns and you can feel ultra confident going into the event. It's certainly a new area of disc golf that I haven't really gotten into much, so let me know what you guys think. I obviously have a lot to learn still. I am 870 rated, and I've played about 34 events, and I definitely have a lot to learn still. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Wild Runs signing out. Peace.
We'll be right back.